Greetings, greetings, greetings. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Navigating Now. It's your girl, Jocelyn Harrison, and I am so glad that you are here with me tonight. So tonight, it's just me. I don't have a guest to interview, but I really felt led, I guess you could say, to talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is courage. And so it's the courage to be, it's the courage to live. And it is just so in my heart to talk to you all about this. I don't even know if I'll be before you long. You know, we've been running long lately if you've been a watcher, but it's been some good stuff. But tonight, I really just want to encourage you. I want to encourage you in your walk with God, in your walk in life, period. And so I'm going to tell you what sparked this. Well, actually, I have been, if you watch Joyous Living with Jocelyn Harrison on Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have been talking about faith a lot over the last few weeks. And then at the end of the year, I talked a lot about obedience. And so there has been a recurring theme that I just can't seem to get off of. And it is my desire for the people of God to be who God has called them to be. That is really one of, I know, my life missions. And many of you may know that I'm a coach. I have a business called God Design Life, and that is what we help people do. We help people become who God has created them to be, and really to help people set themselves free. But this show today is not about God Designed Life, but what it is about is your courage, you being who God called you to be, but specifically about the courage to do that and to the courage to live a full life. So, what is courage? So, of course, I had to look that word up. And courage essentially is the quality of being ready and willing to face negative situations involving danger or pain. It is often thought of as without fear or bravery. But the thing is, and I know that you all have heard this before, um, showing courage is often thought of as facing situations without fear, like I just said. But it also involves facing them despite fear. In other words, someone who has courage might be fearless, or they may not be fearless. You may not be fearless, but you determine that it is important for you to face that situation, no matter how dangerous, no matter how much pain or how difficult or frightening it may be. And so when we think about courage, we often think about, like it says, it has more of a, you're facing some pain or some difficult situation. But we often also have to have courage to move into who we are, which sometimes that can feel frightening. Or sometimes we think, oh, that's just going to be too much. I don't know if I can handle what other people will say about me. I don't even know if I could do the thing that I'm feeling led to do. And so today I want to encourage you that there is more in you than you realize is in you. Or you realize it's in you, but now it's just time to live who you truly are. So today I am encouraging you, tonight, I'm encouraging you to be courageous in all that you are, in all of who you are. There's a quote by E.E. Cummings that says, "It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are." Let me read that again. It says, "It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are." So the thing about that is, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter at all. You could be 20 watching this, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. It is never too late to become who you really are. So I want to tell you what really sparked me wanting to talk to you all about this. I I recently watched the movie Mulan. Now, I had seen the movie when it first came out as an animated movie several years ago, and I loved it. Girl power. Just the themes of the movie. And I watched a live action version not too long ago, and I was thinking about it, and it inspired me and some of my um, what should I say? I've been procrastinating on some things personally. And so I was like, okay, Jocelyn, you got to do this. But it also put a fire in me to talk to you all and to encourage you to do what is in you to do. And so there were just a couple of points from the movie that I thought were relevant to this conversation, and I wanted to include them. So first of all, let me start by saying that this is not a geopolitical discussion. It is not even really gender related, feminine versus masculine roles. This is not what this conversation is about. I know the movie touched on a lot of those things, but really, I just want to get to the core of Mulan's struggle as a person. Yeah, some of that was brought on societally, but men and women both face the same struggles. Although I love girl power now. Wonder Woman, love it, love girl power. But what I thought was cool about this is that she wasn't a superhero, right? She wasn't endued with she didn't have these special powers given to her. She had what was birthed in her, what was given to her as she was birthed. And so that's what I want to first talk about. So my first point, as far as when it comes to courage, the courage to be and the courage to live the life that you're called to live, is first of all, whatever's inside of you has been there since before you were born. So if in the movie it starts with her as a young girl and she's very active and you see her fighting in the fields and by herself with swords or pretending like they're swords, you see her running on top of roofs and doing all this these acrobatics, and her family is like, Mulan, what are you doing? Stop, and the people in her town or her village, I'm not sure the exact word they use, would kind of look at her like, oh, there's Mulan again. What is she up to now? But that was just who she was. Like, she didn't try to be that. She loved the art of fighting. She loved acrobatics, and she loved to be active in that way. That was who she was. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, and this is whether or not you feel that you're already living who you are called to be. We can all do assessments. We can all reassess ourselves because there may be something missing. So my first question to you is, when you think about who you were as a child, the things that you loved, what comes up? What is your natural bent? What is the thing that you loved doing? Or even now you find yourself, wow, that's awesome. I wish I could do that. Or, oh, I love doing that. Or what is the thing that people tell you, excuse me, that you are good at? What is it? And I want you to write that down. Because what we often do is look outside of ourselves for evidence of who we are. But the evidence is already in us. It's already in us. And so I am encouraging you right now to think about what that thing is. And then ask yourself, are you currently living in that? Are you currently, is that a part of what you do? Does it, wow, I'm coughing, excuse me. Does it help you do what you do? That life force, that God-given thing that is in you, that God-given calling, that God-given passion, that God-given talent that is in you. Are you currently using it in your everyday life? And does it feel like there's something missing from you because you're not? Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is so you've assessed yourself, and this really goes with that. Is there evidence? Write out what is the evidence of what's in you. By that, I mean, go back and look at your different jobs, anything that you volunteered for, any organizations that you've been a part of that you've really loved, and write those things out that give you evidence that that thing has been in your life the whole time. Once again, it's what are your friends saying to you? What do your friends come to you for? What do they ask help for? What are you the go-to person for in your life? There is evidence of who you are already in the things that you've done. Number 3, know that others know that others may not know your calling, and they may not even understand, or they may see it and not understand. So in the movie, as I mentioned earlier, Mulan's parents, because it was all about disrespect. I mean, respecting your parents and your elders and your family name. I mean, I guess that hasn't changed in anyone's family. So they saw her natural bent. They saw the thing that she was an active child, that she was a fearless child. And they would often be like, Mulan, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. That would bring disrespect to us. You can't do that. You can't be that. You can't be that. Have any of you ever experienced that? Has anyone told you who you can't be? Have you told yourself what you can't be? And are you still living as a shadow of who you are? Is your life shallow because you've been told that, and because you were told that, you believed it and you took that on to yourself? People will do it, and some people will do it, even your parents, your friends, your spouse, your partner may do, a teacher, a counselor. I've heard many stories about that. You may go with them with these lofty dreams of what you desire, but people may tell you that you cannot do that. Or are you sure that's you? I don't know if that's you. And you decide to believe it. I want you to ask yourself, is that you? Have you allowed that to happen in your life? And if you have, I'm going to encourage you now to release it, to rebuke it, to let that go, and really seek out that person you really are, because then that's when you're really only going to really be happy, when you really, really understand who you are. And I'm not saying there may still be some unknown parts of you that you have to discover. So you don't even have to have like full clarity. I'm not telling you to it has to be perfect, the perfect you, that who this person is, who you're called to be, has to be this perfect entity, this perfect thing. You've got to know 100% of everything. You can just know a little bit, a little enough. You can have enough awareness, enough truth to move on that, to live your life on that. And it can only expand from there. So, like I said, that's what Mulan's, parents did. And so even there's this, she tried to say, okay, because, they wanted to match her, with someone, with a spouse. And so, she was finally accepted by the matchmaker. So they adorn her with all of the beautiful makeup and her garments and everything. And she goes, she and her mother and her sister go, and there's a spider. And she knows her sister is deathly afraid of spiders. And she moves this teapot to cover the spider. But of course, the matchmaker doesn't see the spider. So she's like, you must move the spider. And she was like, no, I don't think you want me to do that. And she's, telling her, you must move the spider. No, I don't think you want me to do that. She does what the lady does, and then some chaos ensues. And basically, to try to save the day, she becomes who she normally is. Like her hair, falls out of its, coiffed style. She's on one leg on the table, balancing. And of course, they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And they kick her out. Let me tell you, it's who you are is begging to come out. It's begging to come out. And I would just even imagine that there are glimpses of it that show that of who you really are, that show you you. Even if you're on, and understand what I'm saying, this is not even about someone talking negatively about you. It could be that you're on a job that you like. You don't have to hate your job, but you might like your job, but you don't love it. And why don't you love it? Is it because there's something else inside of you that you desire to do? Or is it that there's someone that you work with that doesn't see the full potential of who you are? Or are you not operating at your full potential because you're not in something that you love? It can work both ways. But who you are, even if they give it a little crack, is desiring to come out. The light in you is desiring to be seen. And so today I am here to help you release it and allow it to come out. Release who you really, really are. It's time to release it, because it's going to want to come out, even when you're trying to hide it, even when someone's trying to make you be something that you're not, even when you're trying to make yourself be something that you are not. Now, in the movie, there's a war, and so they're asking for the male from each family. Well, in Mulan's family, they're only girls. So her father is older and has an injury. And of course, he's like, I will go. And, she sees his sword and his armor and all of this. And she decides, I cannot let my father go. I'm going to go in his place. Mind you, of course, this is, I don't even know what year, but, women were not allowed to fight. And she, put her hair up and she put on his armor and tried to talk with a deep voice. And so she left in the middle of the night to go to where all of the men were supposed to meet for training. And as she goes, because she takes the horse, everything, she feels that she's lost. Like, she's like, oh my gosh, she's talking to her horse. We only have one apple left. And so she's giving him the apple. And, as part of it, there's this phoenix that's kind of their ancestral, not guide, but something to that effect. And as she's sleeping, or as she awakes, she sees the phoenix and it's leading her the way she's supposed to go. And so what I want to encourage you in is that even if you are, like I said, whether you're 20, 50, 60, 70, 40, 28, 39, I do not care, 57, that it is never too late to go on your own quest. It's never too late. Yes, she went in place of her father. It was a ruse, but she felt led to go in that direction. She felt that it was something that she was supposed to do. And so sometimes there are things that we feel that we're supposed to do, and we set out to do it, and it doesn't go quite like we planned. Or sometimes we feel like we're lost, or we've done everything that we know to do. We spent all of our money. We only have, $3 left in our bank account. I think about The Rock, who had $7 left, which is why he calls his production company $7. Had $7 left. Sometimes when we're at our lowest point, I need for you to know that God is always with you. God is always with you. The Holy Spirit is always with you, even when it feels that you are at your lowest point, even when you feel that you've done all that you can do and you don't know what else to do. Even when you feel that you are at the end of your rope, I need for you to know that God is always with you. Whether it's a ram in the bush, a man who says, go collect all the jars and fill them with oil. I don't care. Whatever it is, I need for you to know that. There's a scripture, First Chronicles 28:20 says, which version do I want to give to you? Then David continued, be strong and courageous and do the work. This is to Solomon, his son. Don't be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord God, my God, is with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. He will see to it that all the work related to the temple of the Lord is finished correctly. Be strong and courageous and do the work. You keep doing. So I just want to tell you, you keep doing the work, but you got to do the work. You got to do the work, whatever that thing is, whatever it is. I don't care what it is, whether you want a promotion or a raise or on your job, or whether you want to start a business or start a ministry or a nonprofit, or, if you're young, if you want to be an athlete, if you want to, be strong and courageous and do the work. Don't be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord God, my God, is with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. He will see to it that all the work related to the temple of the Lord is finished correctly. And I'm saying the temple, because Solomon is the one who built the temple. But ascribe that to anything that God is telling you to do. You can do this. So even if it's, the dark night of the soul, even if you're at your lowest point right now, or even if you feel that you can't go forward or you just don't know which way to go, I just want you to take just one step. Have the faith to take just that one step, even in fear, to ensure that you make it, to ensure that you live fully as God designed you to live. Oh my goodness. So Mulan, back to the movie. Mulan, makes her way to where all the training is going on. And so what I want to encourage you here, there were a lot of things that happened to you here. I'm not getting ready to go through the whole movie, but just one of the points for me, and I'm sure somebody else may have looked at this and saw some different things, but one of the points for me is that she did have a skill level already. Like, she had some natural ability, but she used to practice in the fields all the time. She used to practice all of the time on her thing, that thing that was in her. But when she went to training, she allowed herself to be trained. She allowed herself to be coached. She allowed herself to submit to someone else who was farther along than her. And even though she had to hide, obviously, that she was a woman because they were all men there, she still did everything they did. She still had to go through the same back-breaking training that they did. She did that. I don't even think it was to prove that she could do it as a woman. It was just because this is in me. I'm doing this. I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for me. This is who I am, and I'm going to do what it takes to become better at this. And so I'm asking you that if there are things that you need to do to get better at the thing you want to become, or even being who you are. I mean, doing things to become more of who you are could be just spending more time with yourself. It could be prayer. It could be journaling. I mean, whatever your thing is, it could be, a healthier body helps to create a healthier mind. Even if it's just taking care of who you are, you have to be ready and willing to sacrifice, to be teachable, to come outside of your comfort zone. To one, come outside of your comfort zone, but also really to just be coached, to be better at that thing. And so it was interesting once, of course, I don't know the time of period that they were in training, but they were doing an exercise and she was, fighting against one of the other trainees, and her natural ability started to come out even more. Because here's the thing, she was good, right? But you see her progress and get better and better while she's in training. And so once again, if there's something that you want to do, and you don't even have to put off being and doing that thing while you get training, just as you're practicing, you're getting better. And then you go apply what you learn. You practice, you learn something, you practice, you get better, you try it. You learn something, you learn something, you practice, you get better at it, and you try that. And so you're growing and growing and growing and growing continually, which is what she did. So it was interesting that when they were doing this training exercise, and then she and the guy are fighting, her natural ability comes out that she has never shown anybody. Like, once again, here again, if you're in a situation, what is the natural thing that comes out of you that people are like, oh my gosh, they marvel at? Like, oh my God, I can't believe you can do that. Oh my goodness, I never knew. You were hiding that all along? What are you hiding? Anyway, so as she is doing it, the commander is like, my gosh, you are natural. You are a natural, soldier, fighter. You're a natural leader. What is it that you're not letting come out? I promise you, as you hone that thing, as you focus on it, you will get better, and people will notice. And that's even at work. This is work. This is home. This is ministry. This is sports. This is whatever, but your organization, your volunteering, this applies across the board. Now, and y'all have notes. Once you get the skill and you do this, right? Because that's going to take courage too, right? They find out that they have to go into battle, and she and her, I guess, squad are sitting around the fire, and somebody's joking about it, but they're really like, I'm afraid, what if we don't make it? And she sits there for a second or a minute or however long, and she's like, we'll make it. And basically she's like, it's okay to be afraid. But even in our fear, we can still go out and be the best that we can be, and we can take down this enemy. Now, all the while that she's saying that, one of the other guys that she's kind of been battling with sees her hand shaking, like her hand is shaking. But like, if you look at her face and her body, and even the way she says it with so much conviction that she puts her team at ease, as easy as you can be before going off to war for the first time. But she puts them at ease. And really, that goes back to, you can have fear, but still have courage. So you're going to, as you embark, which I hope you will, as you embark on this journey of becoming all that God has called you to be, you're going to come across some situations that are going to terrify you, just because it's not something you've done before. That's all. You haven't done it before. It's the unknown. And so you're going to feel that fear, but I'm encouraging you to have faith and believe that he who began a good work in you will complete it. And It also helps, I will say this, it also helps to have people in your corner who can encourage you and speak life to you when they see you, wanting to back away and not do the thing. They can encourage you to go forward and move forward. So I encourage you, if you don't have anyone in your life in that way, pray to God and ask for people to help encourage you in a healthy way. So they go to battle and, realize that, okay, this is a formidable, foe. And there's a point where they're getting routed. I mean, they're just getting beat down. And they have a female, the other side has a female who's a witch, and she is helping them. So she can, become an eagle, she can become birds and all this. And so all these birds are swarming them, but it's a setup to get them all in one place so they can throw those fire bombs that they used to do back in the day. And so she sees this, Mulan sees this. And so she comes up with this creative idea to start an avalanche. And so she runs off and she's, doing her thing. And while she's away helping them, she and the witch have a confrontation. So she's, feel like she's fighting, the witch, who's a great fighter too. And something happens. And basically the witch says something to her like, I have my notes here. I have my notes. That, oh gosh, I don't see where I put it. But basically, here's the Jocelyn version of what she said. I think she must have asked her name. And so Mulan gave the witch her male name that she'd been using, that she'd made up. And then she was like, that's not who you are. That's not who you are. And basically, if you don't basically become who you're called to be, you will die in that deceit. In that deceit, you will die because you are not becoming you're not being who you were called to be. And it says, that's what she says. She says, your deceit weakens you. She said, your deceit weakens you. And I would have to say, even when I thought about my own self, where have I not been who I've been called to be? And how has that made me feel? How has that even made me show up? So when you're not all that God calls you to be, and no, this is not from the Bible, it's from a movie, but we can get revelation from anywhere. Where you're not as strong as you could be because you're not being who you are. And because you're not being who you are, you won't ever, if you decide to live in a state that is not true to you, you will die. And I'm not saying even like a physical death, but deferred dreams, living a life that is not as full of joy as you would like, not having as much peace as you want, not experiencing the things of the world that you want to experience. Your deceit weakens you. So what mask are you willing to take off? Are you willing to take off the mask of who you have been trying to be that is less than who you really are? So that you can live fully as who God has called you to be. Maya Angelou had a quote that says, courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. Courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. That means it's hard to, it's to love someone, you have to have courage. You know, to accept your peace and your joy takes courage, especially if you're in the midst of something. It is it is imperative. I'm telling you, it is imperative for us to begin to walk out and live the life that God has called us to live. So let me keep moving. Also in the movie, so once so after she has this scuffle with the witch leaves her, she's, laid out, she gets up and she's like, I'm going to be, I'm going to be, who God called me to be. There's always this point in a movie where the person is like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to be it. When this, she takes off her, the armor, her dad's armor, she takes off, she lets her hair down. She, I guess can clearly look like a girl, although I know that even back then, men wore their hair long. So I don't know. But for us in the Western society, she's now a woman. And so she goes back into the camp. Like, she has basically saved her whole battalion, her whole team. When she goes there, she is like, they're like, is that her male name in the movie? I don't even want to get it wrong. And then they're like, and she's like, it's, my name is Mulan. It's my name is Mulan. And so she goes to her commander and says, hey, this is me. And he is like, you have been dishonest. And what does a person that has been dishonest get? They get expelled. They get an expulsion, and their families are dishonored. That's it for you. She said, I would rather be, I'd rather for you to kill me. But, so she goes away, but then she realizes that the enemy is up to something. And then she goes back. So she goes back to the person who probably was the most disappointed, because he saw so much in her, right? He could see her natural gifting, but because of society at the time, women weren't supposed to fight and all of that. But she goes back and she's like, look, I see what the enemy is doing. I think we need to take another route. I believe we need to try another tactic and do what you have to do to me. But I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. And so her other teammates are like, we believe you. We believe you. We believe you. We believe you. And, they decide. So her commander says, you know what? You lead us there. You are brave. You are courageous. You know what? You are who you are. I cannot fight against that. Why would I want to fight against that? We will follow you, basically. And so they go and they fight. She helps save the king and the kingdom. And she, is honored by the king. And he wants her to become a part of the royal guard. I know that's not the right name, but he definitely wants to elevate her. And I believe what this is based on is actually took 10 years, but of course this is Hollywood, so it's not gonna take 10 years. But he elevates her, but she's like, first I have to go home. And so the very thing, so she, in going back and showing who she is, she had to face up to her own. She had to face a society that was not for women fighting. She had to face, shame. She had to face some things that most of us, it would be hard for us to go back to someone and say, okay, I know you mad at me right now, but let me tell you, I know what I know. And so my point is, she got to the point where she was like, you know what? I'm not going to hide who I am. I am not going to dim my light. I'm not going to not do what I know to do just because you may not like it. There's a higher purpose here. And I have to tell you about it. We have got to handle this. And so what is the thing What is your higher purpose? What is the thing that no matter what, even when you want to shrink back, even when you might have, unleashed all of your glory and it might not have been received, but there's a higher purpose for that, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to just slump back, go back home and hide under the covers? Or are you going to say, no? You might walk away for a second and regroup, but you're going to say no. And whether this is you saying to yourself, your own self-critic, no, no, Jocelyn, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to listen to the God that's in me. And I'm going to do this no matter what. That's what we have to tell ourselves. That's what we have to do. We have to stop making excuses. We have to stop making us excuses. Isaiah 41:10 says, so do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your guard. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. I'm telling you. God is waiting on us, and God is waiting on us. He's like, okay, daughter, okay, son, we're waiting on him, but he's waiting on us. He is waiting on us because God uses people, and God is ready to use you. God is ready to use you, but you have to be courageous. You have to be courageous and believe and take one step at a time. God is waiting on you. Your children are waiting on you. Your family bloodline is waiting on you. Someone that you don't even know is waiting on you. There is a legacy for you to leave. There's a legacy for you. Your company is waiting on you. Your business is waiting on you. Your customers are waiting on you. Your clients are waiting on you. Someone is waiting on you. Someone is waiting on the movie that you haven't finished. Someone is waiting on the book. Somebody needs the book that you haven't finished. Somebody needs the pie that you haven't baked yet. Someone needs the coding, computer. I am not a techie that you haven't written yet. Someone needs the artwork that you haven't produced. Someone is waiting on the extra special hamburger that you make that nobody else can make it. That nobody else can make. Someone is waiting on your creativity, your ingenuity, your strategy, your strength, your beauty, your mind, your physical prowess. Someone is waiting on that. Someone is waiting on that. And so at the end of the movie, she does go back home and, she's telling her father, of course, her mother runs and hugs her. And her mother was probably the biggest opponent against who she was as a person, who she was naturally, and how she was. But her father, she's like, I'm sorry I took your horse. I lost the sword. I took your armor and, I apologize. And he's like, basically, this is a Jocelyn version. I'm just, first of all, happy that you're here. And I apologize to you. Because I could see you, but I really see you now. I really see you now. And I love you just the way you are. And I want you to be exactly who you are. And those are the words we long to hear. We, let's just be straight. We desire acceptance from those that love us. And that's great when that happens. But we have to understand that it might not happen in that way. It might not happen. We may not get the encouragement or the accolades or the reassurance from the people that we expect to get it from. And so we have to know that and we just have to know that. And so if it happens, we can be hurt about that. We have feelings about that, but we don't have to make it mean something about us and who we are. Okay? Just because somebody doesn't receive your gifting the way you think, it doesn't mean it's something about the way you are. It doesn't mean something about you. But once again, I'm gonna go back to this because there's always this little caveat. Just remember though, somebody might really be trying to help you to grow. And there's a difference. And so we have to be mindful of our come from on how we see people and their reactions to us or responses to us, to know what is this person genuinely has my best interest and this person doesn't. They could almost sound almost the same, but there's a spirit behind each one of those. And so I just want to make sure you know that. And sometimes people that are older than us may not understand who we are because it wasn't the way they were raised. So they may not get it, and we have to be okay with that too. And that could be a parent, a teacher, a boss, anybody. I just want to encourage you in your courage. And I just know that it's springtime. It's the rebirthing, the flowers are blooming, beginning to bloom. The trees have green leaves on them. All these things are new right now. And I want to encourage you to have a new mind and a new thought about courage and about fear and about being who God has called you to be. Now I know, and that's it for the movie. I hope you like my interpretation. No, but I just thought it was so important to have this conversation with you. And I know many of you have heard this Marianne Williamson quote, or at least parts of it, but I felt like it was right on time to read it. And it says, and it made me think about the movie too when I read it. It says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that is Marianne Williamson. And so I want you to read those. And if you find it's from her book, A Return to Love, Reflections on the Principles of A Course in Miracles. I got that even in watching Mulan. I'm telling you, as you begin to live more fully, as you begin to allow yourself to be God's masterpiece, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made, as you allow yourself to be all that you are born to be, it will help to release others. So as you free yourself, you free others. As you give yourself permission, because you can't wait on other people to give you permission because they never will. And it's not for them to do anyway. As you give yourself permission to love yourself, to encourage yourself, to challenge yourself, people will see you. Your children will see you. Your spouse will see you. Your friends will see you. Even your parents will see you. And they themselves will be free. And even if they aren't free, even if they don't free themselves, something in you has maybe lit a fire in them. Or your parents may even have more peace with you. I mean, I have I have mentors or coaches who make, multiple six figures, $1 million. And sometimes their parents are like, what do you do? Their parents are still like, what do you do? And is that a real job? So let me tell you, some people may never understand, and that's okay. We have to be okay with that. And really, this talk isn't even really about other people. It's really about your own internal compass of courage that I want to encourage. And even if you think about the word encourage is in courage. You got this. You can do this. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You can do this. You can do this. Be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Be strong. Be strong and have courage. Man, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. I'm repeating myself, but I want you to know that you can do this. In Joshua 1, verse 6, it says, be strong and courageous. This is the New Living Translation. For you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to their ancestors I would give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you. Do not deviate from them, turning either to the right or to the left. Then you will be successful in everything you do. You can do this. You are the one. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. You are the one who will lead the people to possess their land. I don't care what size plot of land it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And if you will just obey the voice of the Lord, as he tells you to take one step after the other, you will be successful in everything you do. It doesn't mean you won't have bumps in the road, that there will be battles. We know that there will be battles. There are going to be battles. And some of them you may not win, but you're going to be successful in what you do. All right. Well, that's all I wanted to come and say. And I'm thanking you in advance for answering the call to your own self. I'm thanking you in advance. And I can't wait to hear stories. I want you all to tell me. I can't wait to hear stories of what you have done and to see the evidence of it. I can't wait. I can't wait. And look, I am a life coach. I know I am called to help people to become who God has created them to be and to be able to set themselves free. And if you want coaching on this or need help or someone to help support you through the process, I would love to be that person to help you. You can reach me here on Facebook. You can DM me. You can go to my Facebook group, God Gratitude Girlfriends, which is going to be getting an upgrade and a name change. But you can meet me there. and we can have a discussion about what that would look like for you. I am just encouraging you to take the leap, take the step, be courageous, and be all that God has called you to be. That's it for me tonight. It's your girl, Jocelyn Harrison. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Navigating Now. We're talking about the courage to be. Blessings to you and have a great week. Love you so much. Love you so much. Have a good night.